Have you ever noticed how the mind doesn't just get busy? It sometimes gets rigid or stuck.
Yeah, thoughts stop moving. They loop over and over instead of flowing into what's next,
And we usually try to fix that by forcing stillness.
which often makes it so much worse because rigidity isn't the absence of movement, it's when movement is frozen.
So the solution isn't more control.
It's restoring rhythm. It's Spanda.
So I've practiced yoga consistently for about 10 years now, and I know that the most important part of building consistency and experiencing the true benefits of yoga is community, other people to hold you accountable. And second to that is a solid practice plan. Simple, guided sequences that you can practice for a long period of time. Too often, we skip practice when no one's watching. And when we do find the courage to show up, we find picking a random class on the internet feels completely overwhelming. And this is exactly why I created the OmSom app. It's a free study tool to learn the Sanskrit and philosophy of yoga. Plus, it's home to the Sadhana Sangha, which is our online community. Within that community, you won't only find daily challenges to keep you accountable to showing up every single day, but every single month, me and the team will give you 5 practices. We'll take you through an āsana workshop, a subtle technique workshop, and we'll break down a few lines of the Yoga Sutra together. It's honestly been my dream to create this app for so long now, ever since I started teaching, because this is what I truly needed when I started practicing yoga. Check it out in the show notes, or just search OmSom on the App Store. That's OMSOM. Anyway, back to the episode. Welcome to the OmSom Yoga and Ayurveda podcast. My name is Aaron Petty. I'm a yoga therapist and a teacher trainer.
And I'm Lina. I'm a yoga teacher.
And?
And a forest fairy.
There's one thing you need to know about Lina. She does 2 things. She teaches yoga, she practices yoga, and she hangs out in the forest.
Yeah, meditating.
And if you follow her on Instagram, that's all you'll see. You'll see Lina in the studio, and then you'll see Lina walking in the trees.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, so this week we're exploring Spanda. And it's a very interesting little leeway from our last conversation together, because last time Lina joined us on the podcast, we were talking about Kaya Stiram. And so just to remind everyone, what's Kaya Stiram?
It is the stillness.
Stillness of the body.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's start with a story to help us to understand Spanda a little bit better. The story comes from the Shaiva tradition, which is kind of like the home of Hatha Yoga. So what they say is that there was a bell, and that bell had stopped ringing. And the bell itself, it was still intact. It hadn't like degraded and fallen apart. But when they would strike the bell, the sound wouldn't come out. And so they went and they had a look, and they inspected all the parts. And what they found was that the part inside the ringing part, it was still there, but it was holding so tightly in place that it could no longer move. Yeah? And so what they had to do was go and take a little bit of oil and oil up that ringer so that the parts inside the bell could start to move again. And when that grip was released, then the bell didn't need to just be struck harder. It would start to ring again. It just needed the space to be able to vibrate again. And our mind works in exactly the same way, right? Spanda doesn't ask our mind to become silent. It asks the mind to be able to move naturally again. And this is quite a conundrum, because last time we sat down, we were talking about how we need to focus on the stillness in order to make the mind still. Yeah. And then this week, we're taking it one layer deeper, and we're saying that within the stillness, there is movement. But it's a different kind of movement, right? And I think just for us to get a little bit of clarification, that it's yoga is stillness of mind. But when the mind is still, then we recognize that everything in the universe is constantly in motion, right? That when the body is still, the heart doesn't stop. The breath doesn't stop. None of those moving qualities of nature and nourishment stop. but we are aware of that field of stillness. Once we become aware of that field of stillness, then we can actually listen to the natural rhythms, which in yoga we call spanda. And so, like in Tantra, spanda it's like one of the foundational principles. And like it's not just something that's limited to the mind, but it's the pulsation of life, right? That actually, if you look at things that are living are pulsating with life, right? They're fluid, and that's what makes them alive. Things that are dead become rigid. Yeah. And so it's like before the Big Bang, if we want to take that approach to the creation of the universe, it's like there actually wasn't just stillness. It was the movement that created the universe. And that like manifestation in the Tantric tradition, it's a little bit different. It says that actually consciousness was what began, and it was vibration that allowed consciousness to move through and then start to create the matter and create the universe. And so it's not just like the physical movement. It's not just like the movement of the mind, because that's can be sometimes repetitious. It's like this differentiation where there is motion. The motion of life is spanda. And that like consciousness itself, its form is pulsation. Yeah. Right? And the easiest way to understand it is just like that pulsation of your heart, that constant rhythm. And I think what really helps us to define spanda from rajas or movement is that like spanda is a steady rhythm. You think of like the beat of a drum or like something musical where it's like this kind of steady rhythm happening at the same time that allows it to kind of become circular in nature. Whereas rajas, pure movement, or like unbalanced, if we want to use that kind of phrasing, movement is erratic. It's not happening in time. And I think music is such a great analogy for this, because it's like you can hear, you might not know, but you can hear if something's out of time. And it just feels like, it feels like that's not meant to be there. This is not fitting into the pulsation of the moment. And that's what gives it that kind of like friction like feeling. I don't know. For me, it's like if something's out of time in a piece of music, I feel it in my bones. It's like a shiver inside my bones. I'm just like, no, that's not natural. And it's like you think about it in movie soundtracks, when they want to purvey something that's like unnatural or gross, invoke that kind of feeling of agitation. It's like they'll go off timing. And they'll kind of like put a 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's like that feeling is like so innate to us, because we know innately that that's not living. That's not harmony. That's not pure. So that's kind of what we're talking about. We're talking about spanda as that rhythm of life, and attuning ourselves with that subtle rhythm of life that's always present for us. Okay, so let's kind of take a track into how this fits into like yoga, because I think, you know, when we talk about stillness in yoga, it kind of can tend towards this rigidity, right? That it's like you're doing your postures, and it's like, I don't know, I think people have a tendency to just like clench up. It's like, okay, let's do Jano Bandha, let's stabilize the knee joint. And instead of just bringing stability, it's like, let's grip and make things super rigid. And I don't know, maybe we think of this analogy of like a tree and the wind, that it's like if the tree can't move, then it's gonna snap. And it's like the whole universe is sitting within this balance between like the stability that holds things together and the capacity for those things to be able to adapt and to move and to flow and to shape themselves around whatever life is asking of them. And so I think so too for our yoga practice, that it's actually, we maybe come back to stiram sukham asanam, that it's like that we have the stiram and we have the sukham, we have the steadiness and we have the easefulness. And then we can find this extra layer that's like, there is the steadiness and then there's the movement within the steadiness. That it's like the breath can still move. And for us in Hatha Yoga, that's our telltale sign, is like, I can be unmoving, but my breath can move freely. Right? I can feel that easefulness and that pleasantness in my body and in my mind, but that steadiness remains. Yeah. So it's this little bit of a shift of focus for us, right? We focus on the spanda, not as like the erratic movement or moving into the next posture, but it's like the movement within the stillness in our practice. Alrighty. So when we find that clarity, then the mind stops. It's kind of like turning over on itself. You know, like when you like fixate on something, like think about like, you know, you did something embarrassing. Imagine like on this podcast, you just like you just gave a little bit too much information. You were like telling us about, I don't know, something about you were sweating and it was an embarrassing story. And then after the podcast, what would happen?
I wouldn't be able to stop thinking about that. Oh my God, what did I just say? Continuously on and on about it.
And so you just like, you keep replaying that situation over in your head, right? And so I think for me, as much as that, it seems like your mind is moving, but it's not moving. Your mind's stuck. It's stuck on the same thing. Yeah. Right? And this is where the spanda comes in, because it's like the spanda is what allows you to move on to the next thing. Move on to the next thought.
Progression. Progress
to the next moment of presence.
Yeah.
And it's like when the mind gets stuck, you get stuck on one moment of presence. Whereas I was present for this experience. I was present for the emotion that I felt in that experience. I was present for how I interact with that experience. And maybe I didn't like it, or maybe I felt something that I didn't want to feel. Therefore, I get stuck on that experience. It repeats over and over and over. And I lose the fluidity that allows me to move into the next moment.
It's like the attachment and the grasping and the clenching, rather than the letting go.
Yeah. And so then no matter how much steadiness we find in our practice, in our body and stuff, it's like the mind is still, it's like clenching. So we have to at some point find the next thing. Yeah. We have to be able to open ourselves to that movement again. And so that's what we call spanda. It's the spanda that inspires your breath to flow back in after it's emptied. It's the spanda that inspires your heart to take another beat. It's the spanda that inspires your body to get up and do the next action. And it's your spanda that inspires the mind to move on to the next thought or the next idea or the next thing of the next point of focus. So without spanda, we get stuck in our yoga practice. We hit the plateau.
Yeah, right.
It's like one of the obstacles of yoga is like, they call it alabdha bhumi kattva. Do you know what that means?
No.
Of course you do. We've spoken about it so many times. Alabdha bhumi kattva means you're not able to maintain the ground that you've made in your practice.
Right, yeah.
Unsteady ground. So it's like you get to a certain point in your practice and then like you plateau. Yeah. It's like, I don't know what's next for me in my practice. I feel like I'm just going through the motions. I feel like I'm just doing the same things and there's no progression in my practice. But it's like, it's this spanda, I think, that we miss a lot of the time. We miss the transition point to what's next. We miss the doorway into the next progression of practice or the next progression of life because of our fixations.
We're not actually listening to the body or the mind, but we're just like, oh no, actually we're listening more to the mind and not the body, and we're like, oh no, this felt good 5 weeks ago, so I'm just going to keep doing this because I know it's good for me. I read it in a book.
Yeah, exactly. And like then that goes into life, where it's like, okay, I'm working this job that was so inspiring and it's my dream job and I am meant to love it so much, but like it just feels like I'm going through the motions.
Yeah.
I'm just doing the same thing. It's like starts to get boring. And
Yeah.
what we thought was going to be the thing for us for the rest of our life that we were going to love so much, it's like actually that's not life.
At all.
Life requires us to keep moving.
Yeah, to keep growing.
And so if we kind of like, and it maybe comes back to attachment, that it's like if we attach to the way things are meant to be or the way things were, we keep doing this thing over and over because it's meant to feel good. We were actually missing the window into the next evolution. Yeah. And Spanda is like, it's that quality of the universe that asks the universe to continue evolving. And it's like, evolution is part of life. Like humans should evolve, yoga should evolve, we should evolve, like nature should evolve. Everything needs to keep moving, otherwise it becomes stagnant. And it's like that's the essence of our bath this month, the water element jala. Yeah. Think about like what happens. You spend a lot of time in the forest. Yeah. What happens if there's like a big heavy rain and then there's just a puddle of water on the forest floor and it's not moving anymore? It
becomes murky, it becomes smelly and toxic.
The mosquitoes get up in there, you get bitten. So it's like that stagnation is not what life needs, right? For life to continue, for life to flourish, there needs to be this movement onto the next thing. It's like the rain has fallen, the water has settled. It can't stay in that puddle. The water has to move on to the next thing, the next part of the process. Yeah. Cool. All right. So maybe we can have a look at some textual sources and see if we can find a little bit more wisdom on Spanda here. What's really interesting, I don't know if you know about this, but there is a whole text about Spanda.
Oh, I had no idea.
So you know like Samkhya philosophy?
Yes. And
do you know the source of Samkhya philosophy?
Not at the top of my head right now.
It's a text and it's called the Samkhya Karika.
Yes.
Yeah, and so a lot of the times there are these texts which speak to a specific topic. Yeah. And when we want to learn about Spanda, we go to a text which is called the Spanda Karika.
Yeah, right.
And this is a whole text, few chapters on Spanda. They just talk about Spanda.
Amazing.
Because it's like, and this is the thing, right? I think it's what we miss is that actually this is one of the most vital concepts in yoga because Spanda is life. Yeah. Why would you not write a text about the rhythm of life?
Yep.
It feels like something that we should know about.
Definitely.
All right, so we're going to have a look at a couple of the sutras from the Spanda Karika. The first chapter is kind of where we're going to settle. Okay, so yatra yatra mano yati tatra tatra samadhyaha. That's the Sanskrit. Nice. It means wherever the mind goes, there is absorption. Yeah, so it's like you have to take the mind somewhere, and it's like you, wherever the water goes, it will be absorbed into that, right? Yeah. If you soak in the ocean for too long, what happens?
You get pruny.
Yeah, you get pruny, right? Why do you get pruny? Because the water is soaked into you. Yeah. Yeah, and so it's like wherever the mind goes, it will absorb into that. Yeah. We spoke about like how if the mind goes towards stillness, you'll absorb into the field of stillness. The next layer is focus on the Spanda and become absorbed in the rhythm of life. All right. Second one, it says, there is no cessation, no arising, no unbound, and no seeker. Yeah. Powerful sutra, right? And so it's like, at a certain point in your practice, you drop into not ego, where it's you, the seer, you, the observer, who's having the experience anymore, but you become the pulsation of life. You become the Spanda. And this is what this text is all about. It's about becoming life. Yeah. Letting go of who you think you are, these mental patterns that are just kind of like us interacting with the world and creating these stories about what we're meant to be and who we're meant to be. That at some point we absorb into life and we experience self as the rhythm of life. And I think it's like, this is why so many people find like solace in music.
Yeah.
Because it's like human minds, human hearts are rhythmic.
For sure.
And when we can recognize rhythm, we recognize beauty.
Yes.
It is so subconscious.
Yeah.
Like you spend so much time going to see music.
I do.
And like I know how much you love music and sound. I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but it's like the reason we like music so much is because it reminds us of ourselves.
Yeah.
It reminds us of life, and then we see beauty in that, and it's like, like I don't even know why this is so beautiful. I'm listening to this piece of music, I'm crying, I'm feeling so emotional. I don't know why.
This happens way more often than you think.
And so it's like, why? Because that pulsation is the beauty of life. We're recognizing life itself in that sound.
And it allows you to become so present in that moment because your awareness is settled in and you can feel the vibrations through your body, especially if you're listening to a concert. Like if you're at a live show, whatever music genre you choose to listen to, you can feel the vibrations coming from the speakers, and then you can also feel the vibrations even coming off the instruments. And it's just really allows you to drop in and become present and then align with that spanda, align with that rhythm of the music and with the rhythm of yourself.
Yeah. And I think what I'm hearing from you is like music isn't logic.
No.
It's
no logic.
It's so illogical. And I think like logical, rational minds really struggle with music because they're just like, I don't get it. But it's like there's nothing to understand.
Yeah.
It's like you're feeling something.
Yeah.
And it's what you're feeling it's life itself. Like life is feeling. And it's something we really kind of like, it's a refinement of meditation. You know, like when we do the Vishoka practice and we go through all those stages, right? It's like, okay, we're going to focus on the breath, and then we're going to focus on these different points in the body, and then we're going to focus on the movement of the awareness up and down the spine, in and out from the midbrain. And then we go to that place inside of us. And when you get to these deeper layers of meditation, it's no longer about what you're focusing on, but you drop into either a feeling, and in Vishoka, it's that feeling of joy that has no opposing force. But like the deeper layer is to recognize in your meditation practice the spanda. You feel the pulsation of life deep within yourself. And it's such a subtle experience, right? It's like we can't really measure prana. I can't touch it, I can't feel it, but I can feel it. I can't feel it with my physical sense of touch, but like I can experience it inside. And this is the layer that we're talking about. It's like, yes, the body becomes still, the mind becomes still, so that the mind can absorb into the spanda. So like, let's think about practicalities here. If someone was like, okay, like this all sounds well and good. I agree with you. Life is pulsation. But I'm so stuck in like the logic of yoga practice. Like I have to do my joints and glands, my joint rotations, and then I have to do these asanas, and then I have to do Surya Namaskar, and then I have to do my standing postures, and then when I sit down for meditation, I have to do my pranayama technique, Nadi Shodhana, 8 rounds. And then I have to do my mental exercises. Like, what's the solution to that? Because it's like, yes, you're very diligent in your practice. But like there's a clinging there.
It's like a spiritual checklist or a yoga checklist. Like if I do all of these, I will be great at yoga. But I think the remedy to that is actually just sitting down and tuning into what you feel like doing in that moment. And then maybe it's an asana, and then you practice that for a bit until, not for a specific amount of time or for a specific amount of rounds, but just until it feels right to move on to something new. And then instead of trying to figure out what logically makes sense, you come back to your seat and you tune into your body and you feel like, oh, okay, what's next?
Yeah. That's actually a really like classical way of practicing, where it's like you don't have a sequence.
Yeah.
And so many people ask me like, how did the Hatha yogis sequence asanas? I really thought on it, because like, you know, in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, it just gives you a list of the asanas.
Yeah.
It's like, here are the 32 asanas in Granda Samhita. Here are the 32 asanas. But it doesn't say like, do this asana, then this asana, then this one in this sequence, and then you'll get enlightened. And it's something I really like. I had to meditate on it for a long time. And then I came across this teaching on Spanda, and the classical methodology behind asana practice was sit and feel. Notice how you feel. Consider, based on how you feel, what asana is the next asana to do. Visualize that asana. When the time feels right, move into it. Hold it for some time. When the time feels right, move out of it. Come back to a neutral position. Notice the residue of that experience. And then on reflecting on that residue of the experience, you will know what to move on to next.
Yep.
It's like, this is the Spanda.
Yeah.
And I think it's such a beautiful reflection from you of don't just do, just like feel first. Yeah. Feel first. Okay. And then so maybe the same in meditation. Yes. It's like, don't try to grip onto the technique. Yeah. Just like let the mind be more fluid. Let the mind pulse instead of fix your attention. Right? Don't try to hold the mind on the object. Let the mind wander. Yeah. Which is, for so many people, it's like, no, I shouldn't be doing that. I shouldn't be thinking in meditation.
And then it takes you out of the meditation.
Yeah.
Something that I've been teaching quite recently is this idea of starting with a breath focus and keeping the mind settled on the breath, and then we'll move into a technique, specifically the Agya Kriya, and then from Agya Kriya moving into the stillness of the mind. And within any part of that practice, if you notice that your mind has gone into a story, into an emotion or whatever, first you come back to your breath and you reconnect with that rhythm, and then you start the process over slowly again, rather than being like, what the heck? why am I thinking about this? Like, rather than allowing your mind to continue this erratic rajasic movement, you just come back to the rhythm.
Yeah, that's it, right? And it allows us to kind of develop this flexibility in our thinking. Yeah. So everyone thinks about yoga as flexibility in your body. Yeah. Can I touch my toes? But actually it's flexibility in your mind.
For sure.
Wow, cut that into the clips. And it's like, then if you allow the mind to move naturally, then the mind will naturally become less reactive. And when the mind becomes less reactive, then you'll be able to pause without gripping, and you'll be able to pause and then immerse into the experience, which we call meditation, the experience that we call yoga, not the doing that we call yoga. It's like, it's such a subtle thing, but it's so important for us. Okay, so like takeaways, if you're going to take anything away from this, it's like, notice where your mind has become rigid. Yeah, and notice that rigidity can sometimes look like movement. Yes. Yeah, if you are stuck on the same thought, you're trapped in that thought. So notice that point, and if you can soften your focus and allow your awareness to move, notice what happens, right? Let that be the next evolution in your practice. Let go of the doing and drop into the being. You have any final takeaways?
No, I think that sounds perfect.
All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoyed this podcast, just know that we do it entirely of our own accord. We have always had this dream to just be able to share the information of yoga to the public for absolutely no cost, but it does cost us to have these cameras and have this studio and for me to have staff on the team. So it really helps us if you can support us in some way. One of those ways would be just to go and share this podcast, share it with someone that you practice yoga with, someone who you think could be benefiting from this information, someone whose mind is a little bit rigid. Or head over to our website and check out what we've got going on for 2026. We've got a teacher training happening in Sri Lanka in July. It's 200 hours. Lina and I are running a retreat in July in Sri Lanka where you can come and just relax and practice yoga and do a bit of exploration. I'll be running my 300-hour program this year. It's happening online, and then in 2027, early in the year, we'll go to India together for a 2-week immersion. We also have some online trainings, 100 hours in Hatha, 50 hours in Yin, and the Sadhana Sangha, which you heard about earlier. So please go over to our website, www.omsom.yoga, that's omsom.yoga, and check out what we've got going on. Thanks again for listening. Hariom.
Hariom.